2 million people receive power through just these two companies. If you do experience an outage, make sure you report it immediately. Live in Seattle, Elle Thomas, KIRO 7 News.
Well, the heat is already here as we go live to Seattle, and this is just the beginning.
Yeah, meteorologist Claire Anderson is in the Pinpoint Weather Center for us here, and it's an excessive heat warning. And in fact, for us right now, it's just going to get warmer and warmer.
Exactly, Dave. We have been talking about this for days now, and it has arrived. The excessive heat warning started this afternoon, and the reason it's excessive heat is because it's not going anywhere. Having several days with these warmer conditions in the 90s, over 100 degrees with some spots up to 110, maybe even over that, with overnight lows only into the 70s. That is why this is such a concern. We don't have a lot of relief here, and with so little air conditioning units, this can create a major problem. So be aware the entire state is under this excessive heat warning. Temperatures today are warming up. 86 degrees for Seattle, upper 80s for Bremerton as well as Olympia, 93 in Port Angeles, which is a record up north. It's very warm there, 96 for Wenatchee. So coming up in just a few minutes, I'm breaking down the all-time records we are going to beat in just a few minutes.
About 160 people are unaccounted for following the partial collapse of a beachside condo.
Well, cooling off in the rising heat, KIRO 7 looks at some ways you can stay safe and get some relief this weekend.
And it's not just people and pets that need to beat the heat. The plan to protect critical drawbridges at risk of malfunctioning. New at 6.
First, the hot weather won't be stopping major road work this weekend. KIRO 7 shows drivers what to watch out for, including a big project right along I-5.
And you are not wanting to be stopped in traffic with this heat this weekend. Already in the upper 80s this afternoon. I'm tracking 90s and over 110 for some spots this weekend. We've got the record heat coming up.
The future of hockey in Seattle starts now. From the arena's finishing touches to the top draft picks, join KIRO 7 for a special in-depth look at this exciting time for Seattle's newest hometown team.
On Home Ice, sponsored by Windermere Real Estate, Saturday at 9:30 p.m.
Drivers will want to be aware of a few projects around Western Washington. They include Revive I-5, and KIRO 7's Tracy Taylor breaks down the delays you could see tonight.
Heat will not stop road work and closures this weekend, and that includes the old 70th Avenue East Bridge. Drone video from WashDOT shows you the brand new bridge that'll open on Friday morning at 5 a.m. and the new slip lanes on Highway 99 will open for you as well Monday morning at 5 a.m. Let's talk Revive I-5, where southbound 5 lanes from Freeway Park to Spokane Street will be closed. Traffic moving through the collector distributor lanes, and that includes the east and westbound 90 ramps to and from I-90 as well. Now, if you are going to be traveling to the Sounders match on a Saturday, they will open those ramps east and westbound I-90, but close them shortly afterwards. And then Saturday night into early Sunday morning, all southbound 5 lanes between 220th and State Route 104 will be closed for Linwood Link light rail construction. If you want more about the info on the closures for the weekend, go to KIRO7.com.
Can't imagine working out on the roads on a weekend like this.
No.
How awful would that be? The big concern for all of us, though, is how to stay cool this weekend, Claire.
And you know, it is something to keep in mind, planning ahead for this. I know we talk a lot about planning ahead for snowstorms. This is a whole nother issue because we are all impacted by it. Beautiful and sunny, but it is going to pack a punch this weekend. As we look over downtown Seattle, nice conditions. I wanted to point out, not a lot of wind. Usually the wind helps us feeling a little bit more refreshed, 5 to 15 miles per hour. So it is pretty calm, but it's coming from the east. So it's warm, dry wind as well, and that will help bump up some of our temperatures into the afternoon. Now, I do want to say, with the KIRO 7 Pinpoint Storm Tracker scale, we are giving this a 5. A historic event here in Western Washington, not just for the month of June, but all-time records. I don't know when we've actually ever used a 5. We haven't used it yet. Historic heat, 90s to up to 110 degrees for Western Washington, even warmer for Eastern Washington. Now, here's a look at the all-time high records for Seattle. We have seen 96 degrees in Seattle. That's the warmest temperature we've ever seen in June back in 2017. We will blow by that tomorrow. All-time high was back in July of 2009 at 103. We are going to get well above that for Monday. So here's a look at, again, some of our other all-time highs. 104 for Olympia, Quaalude out towards 99, mid to upper 90s for Hoquiam, as well as Bellingham. Now look at these numbers. Here is Saturday, 101 for Olympia as well as Chehalis, upper 80s and 90s towards the coast, low 90s for Bellingham and Everett, 105 in Wenatchee. Sunday, this is starting to get into our peak heat, 107. That's an all-time record high for Olympia. We're going to see that in Chehalis, even up towards Bellingham, all-time record highs. We're going to tie it for Sunday. Now look at Monday. This is the warmest day. 106 for Seattle. Again, we could flirt on either side of this, maybe even warmer, but we will definitely be hot. 111 for Wenatchee. The good news is if you head towards the coast, it will be slightly cooler for Monday, up to 100 potentially for Everett. So this is serious heat, you guys. We're not just talking about nice summer weather. As we move through the rest of the week, the high pressure will build and it will start to break down into Tuesday. Now, 91 looks pretty good after 106 degrees, but we are still going to be warm. And the other concern, you guys, dry conditions. Still no rain in the extended forecast.
Boy, that sounds just awful. All right. Well, time for sports now. All right. Well, the coronavirus is affecting certain communities much more than others. Coming up, new data reveals which race and age groups are getting hit hardest, especially right now.
And in today's KIRO 7 local jobs report, Career Builder is listing 121 open positions for computer and information systems managers in Western Washington. You can search for these and other open positions now at KIRO7.com/jobs.
The pace of tourism race is heating up. The space race today, billionaire Richard Branson's company, Virgin Galactic, announced it was cleared by the FAA for launch. Branson is reportedly flying to space. Bezos is expected to lift off with his company, Blue Origin, next month.
Visitors to the Roman Colosseum can now get a perspective few have seen in 2,000 years. The underground levels are open to tourists for the very first time. This comes as Italy drops its quarantine requirements for U.S. visitors who show proof of COVID vaccination.
Don't forget, Seattle Pride is going virtual this year, June 26th and 27th. There's going to be a weekend full of featured speakers, discussions, and performances. And as the official TV partner of Seattle Pride, KIRO 7 is proud to be a part of your celebration. Your Voices Celebrates Pride is a half-hour special dedicated to all things Pride. Join us Saturday, June 26th at 9 p.m.
Well, police make a breakthrough in a growing crime targeting local drivers. And coming up, the series of arrests that uncovered hundreds of stolen catalytic converters.
Meanwhile, traffic could be slowed by one of our hottest weekends on record. KIRO 7 looks at the impact on local roads and bridges.
In honor of Pride Month, we celebrate our LGBTQIA+ community. From Seattle's rich history through moments of resilience and the next generation building a brighter future. Your Voices Celebrates Pride, Saturday at 9 on KIRO 7.
Live, local, in-depth. KIRO 7 News at 6 starts now.
The hot weather this weekend could bring extra misery to people stuck in traffic. A major lane closure on I-5 is about to go ahead despite the triple-digit forecast.
Now our team coverage begins with KIRO 7's Graham Johnson. He is live above I-5 right now. And Graham, you have been asking about how the heat will impact our bridges and roads.
And Monique, I'm now right on the Holgate overpass and looking back on southbound Interstate 5 where crews will start closing lanes in about an hour. And by 10 p.m., all the southbound traffic will be squeezed to a single lane for the entire weekend. And there's a good chance that drivers passing by this weekend in the heat of the day may notice no work going on. The biggest lane closures so far of the Revive I-5 project are coming on what will be an incredibly hot weekend in Seattle.
And it's probably going to be pretty bad.
The main line of southbound I-5 between downtown and Spokane Street will be down to a single lane. Ramps from I-90 to southbound I-5 will also close for rehab work.
Kind of be a slog that I'm going to have to get through.
The state DOT says the work will go on despite the heat.
We're hopeful that the conditions will allow us to continue to work safely. And if it's not safe out there, then they'll pull the crews.
Officials say the contractor will give workers special safety briefings, water and sunscreen, and contractors might take afternoon breaks if it gets too hot. If that happens, the lanes will stay closed because state officials say it takes a long time to move the traffic control barrels.
It's really not sensible to take it down only to turn around and put it back up.
Work will also go on with heat precautions this weekend in Fife, where a new bridge over I-5 will open Monday. In Seattle, workers will keep a close eye on 3 steel drawbridges.
The heat causes the steel inside the bridge to expand.
Last year, we saw SDOT workers spraying down the Fremont Bridge. Starting tomorrow, they'll do it again.
In order to help make sure the bridges don't get stuck open, we spray them with cooling water throughout the afternoons on these really hot days.
Because it ends up in the ship canal, crews add vitamin C to the water so chlorine from the tanks doesn't hurt fish.
Those bridge spray downs usually only take a few minutes, about as long as a opening for marine traffic. By far the biggest impact will be here on southbound I-5, where people will be stuck in traffic and will be hot and miserable this weekend. Live in Seattle, Graham Johnson, KIRO 7 News.
Thank you, Graham, on the misery beat for us tonight. Well, the hot weather will also take a toll on rail service. Amtrak says trains on its Cascades line will travel at slower speeds, impacting schedules over the next few days. They're taking precautions because the tracks can shift slightly in extreme heat.
The heat is on in the Puget Sound region, and just about everyone is looking for ways to keep cool. But the warm weather is not canceling the one-day Capitol Hill Pride Festival set for Saturday. And KIRO 7's Deborah Horn is live at Cal Anderson Park, where that festival is going to be held. And Deborah, they are planning on ways to keep people cool there.
Of course they are, Dave. They say they plan to have lots of water. They tell us the big fountain here is working. We couldn't find it, but I believe them. And they're going to have something called misting fairies. All of it, of course, they said, to provide lots of fun. This is where a lot of people decided to spend this very warm Friday, incredibly predicted to be the coolest of the weekend ahead. But organizers of the Capitol Hill Pride Festival say the heat isn't drying up their plans to celebrate Gay Pride this weekend in Cal Anderson Park.
We want people, first and foremost, to feel safe.
We talked by Zoom to the organizers of the one-day festival. They began planning long before anyone knew the forecast would call for triple-digit temperatures.
The nice thing is Cal Anderson Park has a very large drinking fountain where you can fill water bottles. We plan on having a lot of water bottles. Our volunteer mist sprites.
Moreover, she says, the park has a generous canopy of trees as refuge from the oppressive heat. And the experts say there is reason to be concerned. The National Weather Service tweeted this graphic showing the danger the heat poses. Anyone suffering from heat exhaustion, dizziness, excessive sweating should immediately get to a cool place and drink lots of water. If they don't do that, they could end up with a heat stroke and need immediate medical attention. As you might guess, the heat means a run on fans and anything else to keep cool wherever they are sold. And cooling centers are opening across the Puget Sound region, like the Douglas Truth Library in Seattle's Central District.
It's nice and cool. We do have 2 floors that are open, so there's some spots to sit, tables to work at, computers.
Is right. It was and cool in there. The organizers of the Capitol Hill Pride Festival tell us their program is pretty light. And said it'll be kind of early in the day. They say you should come when it's not as warm, and then you should wait, if this is a problem for you, until later in the afternoon. That's when, but all of it is too much for you. You're gonna have line. They're going to put it online as soon as it happens at the festival so that you won't have any. Most important, try to stay cool so that you can stay safe. Reporting live on Capitol Hill, Deborah Horn, KIRO 7 News.
Hopefully that waiting pool behind her will be filled by tomorrow. Let's check in with Claire right now. And Claire, everybody would love for this forecast to be off, but the revisions have been going the wrong way here.
Exactly. You know, we come in and look at it every single day. All of us here in the KIRO 7 Pinpoint Weather Center have been watching these numbers so closely, and they just keep inching up. Now today, we are in the upper 80s around Seattle as well as in Bremerton. Upper 80s for Olympia and Chehalis. Mid to upper 70s towards the coast. 83 for Bellingham. Upper 90s for eastern Washington. This excessive heat warning will continue through the weekend. It started this afternoon and it continues through Monday evening with temperatures in the 90s up to 110 degrees plus for some spots, especially into the South Sound, the Cascade foothills and the valleys. Overnight lows mild into the 70s. Another trick I love to use is get a washcloth wet, put it around your neck. That always helps it in front of a fan. It's the evaporation that helps with the cooling. And again, stay hydrated. I also want to point out, if you're going to find ways to stay cool, like jumping in the water, be careful. We are still seeing cool water temperatures. I know a lot of people will be flocking there. Coming up, I've got your record high temperatures we're going to soar past coming up in just a few minutes.
And you can track the heat any time of the day, wherever you are, with the free KIRO 7 Pinpoint Weather app. It includes alerts to keep you updated when conditions turn dangerous.
Investigators in Pfeiffer tried to piece together a deadly shooting this morning involving a warehouse truck.
Way to pay, but run into trouble, and they may leave you hanging. Next, the call for more protections against scammers and other problems.
And staying cool in one of the country's least air-conditioned cities. KIRO 7 looks at some of the resources offering relief from the heat.
And of course, we have been talking about the heat, and it is not going anywhere. Beautiful blue sky. But the sunshine will warm us up. I am tracking this record heat wave coming up.
Metal, even scooters thrown right into traffic. It went from one bizarre story to an everyday threat.
Someone absolutely going to lose their life over this.
So KIRO 7 is staying on this story.
State Patrol tells me they are taking immediate urgent action.
Pushing for answers until the roads are safer for you.
We checked with the city of Seattle's mayor to find out if she wants to weigh in on this very dangerous situation.
When it comes to your safety, you can count on us to investigate. KIRO 7 News.
The high heat also means high fire danger, and that's putting a premium on wildfire preparations happening right now. New recruits could put training like this into practice as soon as this weekend's triple-digit forecast. Wildfire season is hitting earlier than usual, and it's already hit hard. Statewide this year, we've already had more than 500 wildfires. That is a record and a 50% increase from the same point last year.
From all we're hearing from meteorologists with the DNR, this will be an intense fire season.
We will have more people ready and more people equipped this year than we did before.
Much more help is on the way. The state passed an historic 8-year, $500 million package of wildfire fighting investments earlier this year, but that money won't start to be allocated until July.
Today, Governor Inslee removed COVID-19 capacity limits for public and nonprofit cooling centers across Washington. Mayor Jenny Durkan says Seattle will open more than 30 cooling spaces across the city, and the public can use them starting tomorrow. KIRO 7's Lauren Donovan is at Seattle Center with this and other ways people are hoping to stay cool.
Tourists downtown had a hard time understanding the hype of this heat wave. But what many out-of-towners don't realize is that Seattle has been ranked the least air-conditioned city in the United States. So when a heat wave does hit, many people get frantic, even panic to get their hands on some AC.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge. You know, hopefully everybody's able to get what they need.
This lineup at Lowe's on 125th in Seattle formed far before dawn.
It's amazing. I've never seen anything like this.
These days, an AC unit could be considered a crown jewel.
Well, I feel very fortunate that we snagged one of these.
James Mack, visiting from Michigan, says this rush is really much ado about nothing. He's seen far more miserable Junes.
This is not no heat. None. Not at all. 90 degrees, 100 degrees, that's not hot.
He wasn't the only one with a hot take. Claudia Verdugo traveled here to get a break from the Phoenix sun.
Last week we had about 118 for 4 days straight, so this is breeze right now.
And then there's her friend Valeria, who is expecting Rain City.
Unfortunately, it sucks that we're coming in at during the time of a heat wave.
All three threw shade, but they also all agreed it's so important to grab some.
You need to hydrate, you need shade.
Especially for those living unsheltered.
These people are out here, some of them by no choice of their own. And if the city can help them, I think they should help.
Turns out Mayor Durkan is. There was already an emergency cooling shelter established here at Exhibition Hall at Seattle Center, but the Human Services Department thinks that's not enough. So this Saturday, Fisher Pavilion will open 24 hours as a place to get some relief as well.
I'm finding out that Seattle doesn't have a lot of AC.
Those looking for a break today can walk inside one of 13 Seattle Public Library branches. 7 of these are opening for the first time since the pandemic began. The city is also partnering with Pacific Place to provide some refuge, and they've got some ways to lure you in, including unlimited popcorn refills at the AMC and 10% off chilled gazpacho at Pike Place Chowder.
Everything to make you thirsty in the heat. Okay.
Reporting in Seattle, Lauren Donovan, KIRO 7 News.
Yeah, a little salty popcorn, drink, but in the air conditioning sounds not half bad.
Yeah, at least there will be places to cool off, because Claire, we are going to need them.
Yeah, and you know, I know we've been talking about it a lot. We've been talking about it for days now, but we're doing this so you are prepared. And this June heat wave is nothing to joke or laugh about, because this is dangerous heat. We've got an excessive heat warning here in effect for the entire state of Washington through 9 o'clock on Monday. We are looking at all-time record highs for numerous cities with temperatures around 100 to up to 110 degrees. Even higher is definitely possible in the South Sound as well as Eastern Washington. Now, this is dangerous heat. We're going to see a lot of heat-related issues, dehydration, heat stroke. Something you really need to keep in mind is check on those who don't have air conditioning or are not able to get to somewhere cool. Help them, bring them water, do whatever you can. Let's just help each other out here. All right, temperatures today in the upper 80s for Bremerton and Olympia, currently 87 for Seattle, 84 for Everett, mid to upper 70s towards the coast, and 97 degrees for Wenatchee. As we continue moving into this weekend, the reason why we are so hot, breaking it down for you here, we have a big ridge of high pressure. I talk about this a lot in the summertime because these are the main impacts of why we see it. And this is an abnormally large ridge of high pressure. It goes way up into Canada, even further north. This is going to build and expand. It's going to move and wrap around, bringing us warm, dry air. And it just hangs around. It stays put, and that will continue to bump up those high temperatures. So heading into this weekend, look, we put a 5, a KIRO 7 pinpoint storm tracker scale, historic 5. The reason for that, we have never seen temperatures like this here in Seattle, not in June, not any month of the year. So this will definitely be a year we look back at saying, remember, the end of June 2021. High temperatures for tomorrow, upper 90s for Seattle as well as in Bremerton. Triple digits already, Olympia and Chehalis, even 80s and 90s towards the coast. 105 for Wenatchee, low 90s for Everett and Bellingham. The warmest days will be Sunday and Monday. The peak heat for Monday, around 106 in Seattle. Even warmer as you go further south, and it stays hot through the work week.
All right, Claire, thank you. Let's check in now with Major Garrett for what's next on the CBS Evening News.
Good evening, Dave and Monique. Coming up after KIRO 7 News at 6. The desperate search for survivors after the catastrophic building collapse in Florida, with more than 150 people still unaccounted for. What rescuers are doing to try to find any possible signs of life amid the wreckage. Plus, the powerful words from George Floyd's daughter during the sentencing of Derek Chauvin today. And our Steve Hartman with a look at why it's so important to hold out hope. That's tonight on the CBS Evening News.
KIRO 7 and T-Mobile celebrate diverse communities and cultures. These are your voices. During Pride Month, join us for Seattle Pride's free virtual celebration.
As a parent of a gay child, I am so proud that T-Mobile continues to partner and volunteer with Seattle Pride. This year, we're ramping up our support to include GLSEN to help LGBTQIA+ students live free from bullying.
Discover more ways T-Mobile supports our community at KIRO7.com/yourvoices.
Coming up tonight in primetime on CBS and KIRO 7 at 8 o'clock, the 48th Annual Daytime Emmy Awards. Then Blue Bloods at 10, followed by KIRO 7 tonight in The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
And in just 30 minutes on KIRO 7 at 7, a fire tears through a century-old building in West Seattle. The local group that was helping feed community members in need, and what comes next for them tonight at 7.
Well, Boeing is taking Rosie the Riveter down a whole new career path. Meet Rosie the Rocketeer. She'll be in the commander's seat when Boeing's Starliner heads to the International Space Station. The mannequin pays homage to Rosie the Riveter, who represented women working in factories during World War II. The uncrewed flight is set to launch on July 30th.
You know, on the sunny side of the ISS, it's about 250 degrees Fahrenheit. On the other side, though, minus 250, and that
Yeah.
sounds pretty good about now, doesn't it?
Pick your poison there, Dave.
Yeah.
I love it. More women in STEM. All right. Well, for this evening, highs in the upper 80s. We'll see 90s and triple digits Saturday, and then heat wave Sunday, Monday, record highs. Stay cool.
If we can. All right. The CBS Evening News is next. Hope to see you back here at 7.
KIRO 7 News is live, local, in-depth, 24/7. Log on to KIRO7.com and download the KIRO 7 News and Weather apps.